And I'd like to call this meeting of the RTM Parks and Recreation Committee to order at 7:40 p.m. Sorry, we're a little late starting. I'm gonna take attendance now. I'm gonna call it out. We have 2 people on cells, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people in the room. That's 11 altogether. Sarah Baldwin.
Here.
Patty Bumgardner.
Here.
Diane Connellow.
Here.
Cheryl Russell.
Here.
Penny's not here. Carrie Cardone's not here. Adele Conniff here. Sue Ellen Mitchell's not here. Kim Kiner.
Here.
Andy Millar, not here. Sandy Savage.
Here.
Tony Lorino, not here. Liz Mahoney.
Here.
Susan Marks.
Here.
Mary Gaudier.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. And I will not hesitate on you. By the end of the year, I will say it, I promise, properly and without hesitation. Bill Van Loan.
Here.
And David York, not here. Okay, that's 11. Approval of the minutes of March 6th. Are there any corrections to the minutes of March 6th? May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Susan Marks made the motion. Kim Kiner seconded. All in favor? That's unanimous. Cheryl,
Yes.
are you in favor?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's unanimous. Okay. So we'll move into the main event. I really, a lot of us have spent a lot of time in the last couple of months on the budget. So let me just give you a couple of things, highlights of what happened last night, and then we'll go into our budget. Jack Davis sent out a little prep sheet. And what did I read? The mill rate was set at 14.97 last night. And the Board of Education's operating budget was reduced by $2 million by the Board of Finance. The allocation from the general fund will be $3.5 million with 2 amounts allocated to special appropriations that will be addressed on budget night. $755 million for Board of Education Transportation Initiative, and about $1 million for another Board of Ed Security Initiative that's not yet been approved.
750,000.
Say it again?
750,000.
Oh, sorry, yes. Yeah. I did it. You're right. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Reduced by, yes.
Underground.
That's a double M there. Sorry. Yep.
Okay.
It's not been approved by about $1 million for another Board of Ed Security Initiative that's not yet gone through the process. So that will probably, we'll see these on as special appropriations at the RTM meeting. But they did it this way. It would have been in the budget, in the capital budget. Did it this way so that we vote on the special appropriation on budget night. Then in 10 days, they can spend the money, as opposed to waiting till July 1 and spending the money if it stayed in the budget. So, but it was, calculated in the Board of Finance's minds as part of the budget. That's it. There also was, this is to Cheryl's point, there's a new resolution by the state that whereby towns authorizing bodies are required to approve, Cheryl, you're making noises, you got to hold it down, okay? Are required to approve their 6-year capital plan. We'll be formally approving 2 years as documentation to the state. This information is not included. It was in the documents for the Board of Finance's meeting. It is from 2002, 2003 forward. The budgets for us, for this, it is vastly different than what our capital 6-year plan is. I guess it's what it was back then looking forward, but it's really very different. So we'll look at our 6-year plan when we get to the capital budget, just so we review that. But know that that's in there, and it just, I think it's pro forma, they had to put it in. And but it through Cheryl, because she went and looked at that, and it had it had $3 million for the Pear Tree Beach project for this year. You know, so I mean it's completely wrong. So anyway.
But not
Have a
done by
look.
the Board of Finance, done by per the state, you're saying?
No, what it was is that they required it to be for the 2 years going back, and that therein lay the problem, so that the plan was done back then, and it's not accurate for now. So, but by law they had to do that. So, more useful if they sent this year's stuff and didn't have to do the 2 years, and it would not be accurate. So that's my take on that. Okay. Let's do the Parks and Recreation Program Fund first. That's this piece of paper. You should have two extra pieces of paper that are loose. The next one. That's it. Essentially, this is pretty much the same. You know, the budget is $1,400,000. It's the same as it was last year. And as you remember why they did it, just because when we have more programs, then we have more expenses, and then they had to come back if they did a lot, did more than it was in the budget, they had to come back and get more money for the expenses, and it just went round and round. It was awful, actually. And so it worked very well. It's worked very well. And so a little bit of information, because there was some questions asked about it by F&B. And essentially, the response from, I guess, Jen, was that pretty much it's the same as the 23-24 budget. The fiscal year 23 actual, as I'm reading what you guys got in front of you, was $1,364,813. The fiscal year 25 expended budget is $1,120,000. The actual in 23 was $1,099,866. So the difference between the revenues and expenses is transferred to the general fund. Based on the FY25 budgets, the difference is $280. Last year we transferred $264,947. So essentially, it's close. It's close, so we kept it the same. Have any questions? We have a motion then to approve the 2024-2025 Recreation Program Fund.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Sandy, seconded by Diane Conlogue. All in favor?
She didn't see that.
She doesn't. Adela, I just want to confirm, you said,
For the minutes.
just only because we're being filmed, you said at the very end $280. I know
Oh, sorry,
you were saying
$280,000.
only
The
for
difference
anybody
is
who
$280,000.
doesn't have it in front of them. Thank you.
It's $280,000, yes. So because they transferred $264,947, it's close. So it's a good, reasonable budget. Reasonable budget. So, all right. All in favor? Cheryl?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Thank you. That's unanimous.
Did anybody leave one of these?
I think everybody's got one.
Everybody has one, right? Okay.
Okay. Next, let's go to the Board of Finance approved Park and Rec revenue budget. They kept tweaking things, I gotta tell you, but I think this is accurate. Cross my heart. So there, let me go through the bits and pieces of the questions asked and the things that may have changed. Revenues are down into the 2023-24 budget. the 20, and the budget total is $957,300. Last year, I believe it was $1,000,007. So it's down a little bit, not a lot. There's been a decrease in paddle play since the boom during COVID. In fiscal year 23, actual was $74,890. Year to date through February, it's $68,480, which is slightly lower than the same time last year. Pickleball fees were a new addition at the end of fiscal year 23, I hope. Yes. 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 And the fiscal year 24 budget was a best guess without having any historical information and was too high. So, in April through June 2023, we collected $9,208. If we collect the same amount in the spring of 24, the FY 24 actual will be just over $20,000. So there's been a reduction in paddle building rentals post-COVID. The FY 23 actual was $10,277. Through February, we're actually lagging last year by about $2,000. There's a decline in program fees and town hall rental income. Fireworks, parking passes, and food truck fees had been omitted, so the line was adjusted up to set $9,000. And there's a decrease in town hall rent. And I think we talked about that. Yeah, we know why. We understood why. Because the Arts Center wasn't using the Mather Center as much. So
They were trying to use the Mather Center, just to be clear, but they weren't able to.
Speak up, okay.
They were trying to use the Mather Center for some of their dance classes, particularly in the glass room that's over here with the mirrors. But that was being used for some of Parks and Rec programming, like the Ebola stretch class that I attempt to do, and some other things. And so, because I had asked a lot of questions on that one. So, you know, next year, if things change and something doesn't get subscribed from Parks and Rec programming, perhaps maybe we'll be able to make up some of that rental. They're very interested in continuing. They have a lot of, they're having to outsource their dance classes elsewhere. To, I think it was First Congressional.
Good to know, good to remind.
Not all of them, but some.
But some, yeah. And
So
good to
hopefully we
remind.
can get our people back on campus, so to speak, since they're right there.
Yeah. So, the beach and court facilities revenue is projected to be $580,000. The grounds, fields, and buildings, $37,300. The organized recreational events, $340,000, for a total of $957,300. May I have a motion to approve? Are there any questions?
Adele,
Yes.
are you on the Board of Finance approved Park and Rec operating budget?
No, this is the revenue budget.
This thing she sent you originally.
It's not
Right.
necessarily in the right order, Cheryl. Just look through it till you get to the revenue. When I printed it, I rearranged it for everybody here, but you've got to look for it. Okay? See it?
Thank
Okay.
you for printing it out.
Oh, you're welcome.
This is great.
So the total's $957,300.
Yeah. Which is,
Okay.
yeah. So may I have a motion to approve the revenue budget?
I'll make a motion.
Patty moved. Alyssa seconded. All in favor? Cheryl?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, that's unanimous. Okay. Now the operating budget, Cheryl.
Okay.
This is the one, there was, I got the cut list, I saw the cut list today from last night for the Board of Finance. And I went back into the budget, but bless Jen Jorneski, she already had entered them into the to .gov, and so there was just a few changes in the numbers from what I already had, so good-o. So the operating budget remains largely unchanged from our previous discussions. The budget group had a few questions, some of which resulted in small changes. So, and we know this, that the $24,000 for the park monitor was removed from the security services budget request this year. I think when Pam talked to us in January, she said it might be come out of a part-time line, but I think Jim Coughlin felt it was no longer needed, so it's not in the budget anywhere else. 21% increase in the potable water was due to, and that Pam told us this, and I completely had forgotten, was due to all the watering and irrigation at the new plant, for the new plants at Pear Tree Beach, and is expected to be similar this year. The telecom expense was up 35%. The data lines at Pear Tree Beach were double counted, and the line was reduced by $1,680. Portable toilet budget was up $2,700. I was looking, I don't know, I think I was on the site on .gov, and I was really quite amazed. I knew they added one at McGuan, but they listed all of the portables that we have. A lot of portables, I mean, portable toilets. Just, you know, anyway, interesting. So they added the one at McGuan, and then they anticipated increases in the existing portable use. But the line was reduced by $1,000, as I think they thought that the increases were too high. So maintenance salary expense increases. Some of the budget group asked for it to be explained because, you know, anyway, it was complicated. They went through it and explained it and didn't change anything. So as was. So administrative expenses were $573,360. Did I say that right? $573,360. After a while, we'll get somebody else to read these out loud. Beach and court facility expenses, $291,835. Grounds, fields, and facilities expenses, $339,975. Organized recreation and events expenses, $76,058. And recreation facilities maintenance expenses, $511,743, for a total of $1,792,971. The Board of Finance had $79,118 of adjustments. Have any questions?
Adele,
Yes.
are we voting on this as a whole at one time tonight, or are we going to vote on each operating capital
Each.
separately?
Each, and I have to report to the RTM on each.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay? So
Yeah.
now we're gonna, I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve the 24-25 Board of Finance approved Park and Rec operating budget, as I just described.
I'll make a motion.
Patty moves, Kim seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Cheryl?
no.
Thank you, Cheryl. Mary? Okay. Would you like a minority report, Cheryl?
I didn't realize that you were voting on each, the operating and then the one we just did. I am not voting on this budget tonight at all. I'm voting no, right straight through.
Do you want to
are-
abstain then?
You
Is that what
already
you're trying to
voted.
say?
I know. I messed it up.
So do you want, can you, so I'm only gonna ask this because poor Adele
I
is
can hardly
talking the
hear
whole
you,
time.
Patty.
No, I just wanted to make sure, like, did you, I'm just trying to clarify, Cheryl, if you wanted to, we can pull back that vote. If you're trying to say you want to abstain, we can put it as abstain, and if not, we can put it as
Okay,
a no.
if you'd like to you want to change, okay, so we've now voted, this is the third series of votes. You want to change your vote and you want to vote no on all parts of the budget?
Or abstain.
Or do you want to abstain?
No, I want to vote no.
Okay, so we're going to go back. We won't be unanimous anymore. We'll be 10-1.
Thank you.
Adele, does she want to explain it at all? Or
Pardon?
does she want to explain it?
I assume before we finish, Cheryl will explain.
Okay. Explain now. Right.
Okay, actually, Cheryl, you want to explain now?
We're all dying.
Okay, so, I'm very disappointed in the Park and Rec Commission and the Board of Selectmen. This year, I am at the end of my rope as far as Pear Tree Point Beach goes. A lot of people worked for a long time on that project, and it actually started back in 2012. We were told back then that we would do something for Pear Tree, and it kept going and going and getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And now it's going to be in the 26, 27, $6.6 million in the 26, 27 budget, and the permit from the state runs out in October of 27. So if they leave it as it is, then there is no room for any kind of improvement on the parking lot or any new boat ramp down there that everybody's been waiting for. I didn't see this year that the Park and Rec Commission had this on their agenda. Once they found out it was 6.6 million, they basically gave it to the Board of Selectmen, and then the Board of Selectmen haven't had it on their agenda. I think that this is an asset to the town of Darien that's been let go, and with Great Island coming forward, I see Great Island stepping in front of Pear Tree. And if we can't maintain what we have, we shouldn't step into new ground. We shouldn't be spending money on new things until we've already fixed and maintained what we already have. And that's why I cannot support the Park and Rec budget this year. I'm very upset that the commission didn't even put this on their agenda. And I think that they should have pushed a little harder. It's my opinion, and that's where I stand. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to capital. So you said it at the right time, because really your prime problem is capital. Okay, folks. What Cheryl was talking about with where, if you look on the capital plan, you'll see that Pear Tree has been pushed out. They do have the 6.6 million number in here, but it has been pushed out to 26, 27. I'm not sure what the years mean anything really going out. It's just stuck out, it's put out there, but nevertheless, that's where it is on this. This is the capital plans for us. You'll see in here that the things that are being funded by ARPA are not. They're still in here in this. This has not been updated since the Board of Finance. This is just through the Board of Selectmen, but it gives you a good feel for the capital budget. I'll go through what we have here, and mostly how the Board of Finance talked about it last night. So, repaving the nature lawn, repaving the Nature Center driveway, which was in for $275,200. There were questions about it, and it was modified and reduced to $75,000 for patching the curb, for patching and curb repair and related mill work. So they're just going to patch the holes and do some mill work.
So the traffic study was taken out
Haven't got there yet. It's coming.
on the nature center.
Yeah, we're coming. We're in Cherry Lawn. I just haven't gotten there yet. Should say should say capital.
Okay.
Did you? Here.
Think I'm in the right place?
No. Is it,
She's got 2024, 2025 capital, funded, modified, not funded,
this
Yeah,
ARPA.
she printed
It
it
starts
out.
with
on her
Cherry
own.
Lawn.
I might have another one.
Yeah.
It's
No, I have
another
one here.
here, right.
Another one here.
Yeah,
That's
pull it,
up.
open that one and look at it. It's the last page. It's the front and back of the last page. Okay? That'll be easier to read. Yours is so small. Okay? All right. All right, so that's how it ended up, $75,000 for a bit of repair. I would have said, I actually went last night intending to speak just on that and on one other thing, and there were so many people there for the to speak to the Board of Education. They were nearly an hour talking, and I thought, it's not going to do any good for me to stand up there now. Cheryl, whatever you're doing, you gotta be quiet. You're clicking something.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get on the right page that you're on.
Okay, yeah, can you find it?
No. Is it one of the ones Diane sent?
No.
No, it's the one, that's the one what Diane sent was the capital plan. But what I'm talking about now is in my report. It should be the next, one of the last pages.
Okay.
It says 2024, 2025 capital, funded, modified, not funded, ARPA.
Del, can I just say something?
Sure.
I know this is not going to be popular with a lot of people, but I've asked a handful of different people to please look at the agreement that the
Oh, right,
town
yeah.
has with the Nature Center. I don't know if it's in the Board of Selectmen's office, I don't know if it's in the Parks and Rec's office, I don't know if it's in Planning and Zoning. But supposedly someone told me the town's responsible for all of the maintenance of the parking lot, of the land, and I'm sorry, as a taxpayer, I think that needs to be relooked at because the Nature Center is a wonderful place. My child went there, I think it's phenomenal. He went to the old one, but I think it's phenomenal. But I also think taxpayers should not be asked to 100% fund something like a parking lot that the Nature Center uses
Exclusively.
exclusively, and the town is not even supposed to be parking there during certain hours. I'm not saying that the Nature Center should have paid all $275, but there has to be some kind of buy-in of more than $1 a year that they rent the land from us. And again, this is nothing against Nature Center, but I know not every taxpayer uses every single town asset, and I understand that. But to me, this is just above and beyond that the Nature Center is not putting in one penny towards this. I don't think I'm assuming they don't pay for the plowing. I don't know that for sure. But why are the taxpayers funding the entire thing? It has to be proportioned out.
Do any of us know if there's a written agreement?
Sure, there is,
I think
yes.
there is. I
Yes.
don't know when it was looked at
It's a
last.
contract.
But it should almost be treated, we have, it's probably just looks needed
Well,
updated.
it might address these issues
Right.
in there if it's a legal agreement.
It
It
does.
says the town,
It
the town is
says
responsible for
Yeah,
it, and it's a nonprofit.
But my point is, I do think that it's time to relook at it.
But that, okay, that's fine. I understand your point of view, which is right. But if the agreement says one thing, that the town is responsible, don't you have to renegotiate or something?
That's what she said.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Proposal.
And I'm
The
not-
next
But
time
what
they
if, okay, so that's a whole,
Right,
That's what she said.
right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's good, I just think it needs to be relooked at and talked about. Now, the Nature Center may say, sorry, we're not gonna do it, but there's nothing wrong with having a conversation. So I just had to say that out loud.
Okay.
For whoever's ever listening, and they can be upset with me
Gotcha.
or whatever else, but I feel strong.
You have a point. The second thing on the list for Cherry Lawn was to fix the rock foundation along the overflow parking, which is in disrepair, and it was for $9,000. This was not funded, but $2,600 was added to the Park and Rec maintenance budget. Once it goes down below 5,000, then it's not a capital expense. It's not enough to be a capital expense. So, and it was I checked, and it had been added in
Yeah.
the maintenance budget.
Yeah,
So meaning that our people get $2,600 maintenance guys to spend to try to fix it to their best ability.
Yeah, and I don't think they expected to do what $9,000 would have done, but perhaps it's sufficient. We'll see.
So it's not funded at 9,000, but it's
No, they
funded
cut it.
under a different line item.
$2,600.
It pulls it-
So it comes out of the
It pulls it
capital
out of
budget and goes into the operating, which it is in there.
so it will be fixed from a safety standpoint.
Yeah,
So
and
the
internally,
stairs are coming down. There is a lot of the rocks falling off the side of the wall, but I don't know if that was kind of a high estimate, and they felt that they could get that done internally, so.
Or should get it done internally. Okay, the next is the traffic study at Cherry Lawn. That was not funded. They talked about it a lot.
Does that mean it's kibosh completely, or can they push it off to a later?
I think it probably will be, it will come back.
They want to wait for I mean, they've been interviewing a lot of
Oh, wow.
Parks and Rec director. They want to kind of
I think it'll be better with a new director.
Director,
Kinda
have a
take their-
big master kind of overall
Okay.
view, and then look, and I understand, like, really take a look at what
Mhm.
overall wants to go on there
Okay.
and at other places. That was the takeaway if you watched all those Board of
Yeah,
Finance
I
meetings.
did watch a lot of them.
Yeah.
The only thing that's frustrating is, and I understand what they're saying is, but because the Parks and Rec Commission wanted the traffic study, and the Parks and Rec Commission sets the policy and the direction for the department, whether we have a new or an old or an interim director, it's the Parks and Rec Commission that's driving the car. So, it can wait, I understand it, but I'm a little confused as to why I've heard from F&B and also from the BOF that they want to wait for the new director so that they can make sure that the direction that the director wants to go in is correct. But it's the commission that sets the direction. That's my only point.
Yeah, and I think, some of the talking points coming out of a lot of different, be it Board of F&B and other places, were that it felt like it should almost be more of a utilization of field study, right? Instead of just counting cars. Because we know traffic studies, they're going to be on a Tuesday from like 2 to 4. And is that the best time to really be
I think
watching?
we can agree to disagree.
Yes,
Because
so-
I agree with Susan, and I definitely agree, that's not what the commission knew exactly what they wanted, and they asked for it. And that was, and that's not, and so they decided not to fund it this year.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that it won't get funded, I think
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So, repair the cracks in the basketball court for $22,000, that was moved to the ARPA budget, so that will be funded there. And I noticed in Jim Coughlin's report at the last commission meeting, that he said he was hoping to get that done next autumn, have it done by December, we'll see. For Baker Park, was to replace the fence for $11,000, and that also got moved to ARPA. And I'll say it now instead of waiting. In a transfer at the beginning of the meeting last night, at the Board of Finance meeting, they voted to move within the ARPA budget the fence, the replacement of the fence. Excuse me, that's not true.
The swings that we're talking
Excuse me, it was the swings.
Yeah.
Forget I said that.
Yeah, I'll just make a note on the replacing the fence. So one of the questions that was asked, which I thought was on target, was like, we know that the next project for the playgrounds was going to be at Baker. And so the question was, is it better to wait on the fence because they're going to be bringing in equipment from the side and perhaps the front? And so the
They're
answer,
leaving the posts though, right? So they'd have to be able to fit through the posts.
the answer from Parks and Rec was, no, it should be fine. So hopefully- hopefully-
You're right, exactly.
Yeah.
It would, that was my thoughts too, because they're gonna reuse the posts. But they didn't seem to have a problem with bringing it in around the other way, so.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
fair question.
Sorry about the,
Due diligence, yes.
sorry about the swings. Okay, so that's it for Baker. Weed, strip the paddle court paint for $20,600. That was funded. It was questioned, but it was funded. And I think after the questions were answered, they understood that it was part of the, well, it was good. It was a good thing, and it was important. And it's a safety thing too.
And it's 30 years. These
Yeah.
courts are recommended by the vendor to do it at up to and at 30 years, and it's been 30
Yeah.
years. So we did
Yeah.
one last
So you
year.
only want-
We're plugging it in this year.
Yeah, and it's
going
gonna,
forward.
it'll repeat until we
Yeah,
get all
so
the
they
way
don't
through.
always look like they might need it, but 30 years is, yeah.
That's a good life.
Yep.
That's a lot of, there's a lot of.
And there is
proof.
strong starting. Yep.
Yeah, so the recommendation was not paint it again, strip it, well, strip it and paint it, but, yeah. So that was funded. Replace the gatehouses with a stainless steel one, $50,000. That was not funded. I think that really will be pushed forward. They seem to think that it needed to be just, oh my goodness, what a discussion. But we all know it's been in the budget for several years. It's needed to be replaced for several years. The bottom's been rusting out of it for several years. They fixed it as best they could for several years. I guess they will shore it up again as best they can for another year, and we can all hope that nobody's feet go through it. So there was a discussion at the Board of Finance, and there wasn't unanimity, but it was not funded for this year. And the equipment budget, that was funded. So small capital at $5,000, replace 3 AEDs for $6,000, replace the 550 hook truck for $120,000, and buy the stand-on blower for $16,500.
And I'll just say on the stand-on blower, the F&B was given some pushback on that and some others. The feedback from Sandy Rich, who's the head of our Parks and Rec maintenance, is the stand-on blower can do the work of 3 guys using a backpack. So, for the blower. So that's an efficiency
For
use.
sure.
And if that then helps to ultimately cut down on their time, because I know F&B is looking at overtime numbers. So for me, that's an efficient use of time. That then they get that done, and it gives them time to do something else, and hopefully we don't have as much overtime.
I think they were also, it sounded like, and it sounds like F&B also, they want some numbers
Yeah.
on paper, not just to say it's more efficient, which,
Yeah.
but, so I don't know what F&B will do in the long run as far as that's concerned, because I don't know if the department will be able to give them exact numbers that they're looking for. That's what I'm waiting to see.
I think we will. I don't have a feeling that anything else, I thought the Board of Finance looked into it pretty well.
We have a lot of property to cover.
Yes.
We do,
Yeah.
and
So,
they just
yeah.
finished painting.
They get up and speak, then we get up and speak.
Yeah, the inside, they were able to
Yeah.
paint the inside of the Pantry bathhouse, because they had
Oh, it
the
looks
time.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had the time. I
And
haven't
it,
seen it.
exactly. And
But they did the wave,
They
at
have a
the-
nice pretty blue wave in there
Yeah.
that I think you like, Cheryl.
Do that on the outside, we don't open it there.
That's what I
What was
thought.
that,
When the commission was talking about it, I thought, wait a minute, are you talking inside or outside? Because I could,
Look better on the outside.
exactly, I could see that wave on the outside would be
Right
really
on the
cool.
horizon of the water.
Yeah, so maybe we'll work on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the total capital budget funded is $242,500, thank you. And the ARPA funded $33,000. Cheryl said her piece. So, and she has her point.
Well, if you still look down there for Pear Tree, there's absolutely zero going into Pear Tree once again. And they pushed out the concession stand and the renovation of the building to 25-26. And look at what's going into weed. Everything goes to weed and nothing goes to Pear Tree. So.
The one other thing that I would say is I just want to reiterate, Parks and Rec got a lot of ARPA money. And when ARPA first was being explored, I can remember talking to Pam Geary and to other folks about, hey, why don't you explore with Kate if we can do use Parks and Rec projects for that. And in the beginning, they thought it was going to be a no, but we had done some research and found out what Virginia was doing and Rhode Island was doing and things like that. And we were able to show that because it falls under, remember, ARPA had some specific rules to get approved, and we all saw how much we were outside for ARPA, and so I think we were lucky and feeling fortunate to have gotten a pretty large percentage of that ARPA budget came along from, came to Parks and Rec, and kind of throughout the process, even when, unfortunately Ed couldn't get some stuff done for Public Works, which were big number items, they want to be able to allocate it elsewhere because we have to have everything encumbered by the end of this year and then completed by 2026. So there were things like, 2 or 3 or 4 one-off items, the claw, as I called it, for the
brush
truck
cutter,
and the things like that, and the water.
the water,
Yeah,
the
and all
tank on
that.
their back, and
Yeah.
also the 3 trailers.
And the paddle court, and the 3 trailers.
And they actually have been bid. I noticed as I was going through, trying to find the Weed Beach bid.
Yeah, so next
I
time we
noticed
have
the
a
trailers
flood,
have
and one of the
been
key
bid.
things about the trailer was, part of that pitch was, when we got flooded so bad in September, and then even in years prior to that, those guys worked so hard at Public Works and Parks and Rec down at the recycle dump to get everything out, and then we lost a lot of stuff 2 years ago, and so this is the way where now they'll be able to pop it in the trailer and roll it out just to higher ground, just from way down below where stuff is stored to higher ground. So that would be a measurable, I think, item, right? Yes.
So, yeah. Okay,
Not
so, any other questions or comments, folks?
Just that, I agree with Cheryl on this whole point about putting off Pear Tree for so many years. We had a lot of flooding there last year. We lost part of the beach, as I recall. The sand was all over. Some of us went down and took a look at that. And I think we keep putting it off, and I'm probably going to abstain from this vote tonight. Because I do think we need to get started with that. And putting it out another couple of years is just, in my opinion, kind of silly, because I do think we're just letting it go further and further. And it's very sad because it's a beautiful piece of property. How many towns around here have 2 beaches, and we're not taking care of it? So I am going to abstain from this vote tonight and continue to think about this before the RTM vote.
I'm not, as I said before, I'm not really sure where it is on the 6-year plan. It's probably significant. But, I mean, I realize that years are important for Pear Tree because of how long that permit is good for. I don't mean that. But I'm just saying I'm not sure it's there for a purpose. However, I think it behooves us to encourage the Board of Selectmen to get it on their agenda. I know that John Zagrodzky mentioned a couple of meetings ago that he wanted to add it to, at the end of their meetings, they ask each other, is there anything you want to add to future agendas? And he certainly mentioned that. So I think we want to hope, just to talk about it, folks, let's just not, let's see what we can do. So anyway,
A lot of people probably don't even know the history that it went back, what was it, 2012? I didn't know that till Cheryl
Yeah.
said it. I think she might have mentioned it once before, and I didn't really hear it as clearly. I mean, that's ridiculous. To put it into
You know, I remember
2026, 27, I mean, what is that? That's just.
There were lots of different phases of that.
The reason I said that is because
No, I understand.
back then, when they were doing Weed Beach and putting the new playground in and the new bathhouse in, and we were to wait until that was done. And it started in 2012. And then we had a small recession, and they stopped building the building for about a year. And then Yvonne Klein was the first selectman then, and then she put that back on the table.
No,
And
Cheryl,
it got finished.
Cheryl,
And all we
Cheryl.
kept hearing is, once Weed Beach bathhouse is done, we will start on Pear Tree. Pear Tree hasn't even had new sand in probably, I would say, good 10 years.
You're right.
And it's a used beach. It's not something that's not used. We had almost 3,000 people do the survey and talk about what they wanted down there: trees and clean sand and bathhouse and boat ramp. And it's like it's just being pushed to the wayside. And I feel, as a taxpayer in this town and a person that does use Pear Tree Beach, it's a sin. It's an absolute disgrace. This was a gift to the town years ago. And now we just push it aside and let it sit there and not do anything. I mean, we paid a lot of money to Weston and Sampson for their drawings and all their information, and Neil Huck. And that's taxpayer money that's just gone to the wayside.
Point
really-
made, Cheryl.
I've
Point
heard
made.
from a lot of people that go down to the beach every year, and they say, when are we getting new sand? When are we getting some trees? They cut the trees down and they never replaced them. We've been waiting for this and waiting for that. It's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace.
Okay, thanks,
I'd
Cheryl.
like to hear some clarity, because both Patty and Susan were saying
Well, just the
otherwise.
years were, Dave Campbell became selectman in 2009. So you just have your years off a little bit. So he was in 2009, then Jamie Stevenson was 2011, and then Monica McNally was 2021. But I think also, as much as you were saying the Board of Selectmen, because they were in charge of the building committee, it's really the Parks and Rec Commission that needs to be pushing the Board of Selectmen to do something. So I think it's up to the commission, and we obviously support the commission, to do something at Pear Tree. And obviously there was a lot of controversy to the latest plan, and then the Board of Selectmen, stopped with the building committee. But let's just remember that it's the Parks and Rec Commission that really has to be driving the car on this one as well. So
How do you get that message, how do we get that message to the commission without sounding, like, crybabies or whatever? Like, I'm still sort of mystified by this process, even though I've been at it now for 2.5 years or so, is we're on this committee, we review everything that the commission drives and so forth, but we don't have a voice. We have a vote, we can vote, and we're only voting on behalf of recommending to the RTM, but where is the path of communication of this issue to the commission to make a change, to possibly make a change?
We can make a report of what we voted on the budget and explain the vote. And that would do that. I think
Or
that,
we can vote no on the whole budget.
well, that's one thing to do.
And that would send a huge message.
But Cheryl, who are you sending the message to?
Well, you're sending it to the Park and Rec Commission, because they wrote up the budget. And then you have to send it, then they send this on to the Board of Selectmen. So now it's in the Board of Selectmen's hands, and has been for months.
Well, no, now it's in the Board of Finance, and now the Board of Finance voted last night, and now it's in our hands.
No, Susan.
She's talking about Pear
The commission
Tree.
didn't put it in the budget for 24-25. They put $3 million in there, and Kate took it out. And now it's put in for the 26-27 budget for the 6.6 million, which by then it'll be more money.
That's true.
That's for sure.
So the budget is set, and the money is put into the budget and approved by Mission, and then it goes to Selectmen and then Board of Finance.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
you're right. But also, the reason I said 2012, that's when the bathhouse at Weed Beach was finished
Yeah.
in 2012.
Yeah.
So that's why I said that we've been waiting since 2012.
Okay, guys, let's vote on the capital budget.
I'll make a motion to
Vote on the Park and
vote on
Rec.
the Parks and Rec 2024-2025 capital budget.
Patty moves, do I have a second?
Second.
Sarah seconds. All in favor? Cheryl, that's a,
But no,
No.
no. Okay. so
Mary?
then- Okay. Mary? I'm sorry.
sorry, yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So, no, no,
Cheryl, no.
no, okay.
Hey, on a separate note, because you're coastal community and everything, right, you're covering that. I mean, I know that there's been, right, so we just approved at the last RTM meeting to do like a bid, whatever it's called, the bid spec for how much it will cost to go out, to design it and go out to start to address the sediment issue and things like that. And so I'm bringing this up because of the boat ramp, because I know that's important. You know, you're a boater, right? It doesn't mean that once we have a lot of that information and a plan, that the Board of Selectmen wouldn't go back and then see if we can move it up from where it was in the capital budget to a different time. It's just a thought. So, like, it feels like they just kind of want more information overall on how it might all tie in together.
So Sandy, are you in agreement with what the other two folks said about prepare? That's the reason for the no vote? Okay, so I know the minority.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So that's 8 yes and 3 no. So we've now finished voting on this year, on 24-25 capital budget. We'll move on to any updates anybody has from any of the commissions or advisory committees, the Park and Rec Commission advisory committees and town committees?
Yes.
Okay. Diane?
Just very, very shortly, somebody had asked at one of the last meetings how many cemeteries, monuments, and ceremonies took care of. They take care of 11 of them. There happen to be 12 others in addition, some of which are abandoned, some of which are private, and some of which nobody knows. I do have a list if anybody's interested, and they have a very small budget. I think it's about $5,000 to take care of those cemeteries, the 11.
Can you name them? Do you have the 11?
I do have
Can
a
you name
list.
them, if that's okay?
You know I'm losing my voice, right?
Oh, no, I didn't, or I wouldn't have asked. I knew Adele was.
Okay, yeah, I can. They were so good to send to me. The 11 are Norton River, Weeds Landing, Leeds Graveyard, Waterbury Cemetery number 2, Waterbury Cemetery number 1, Slauson, that one, Weed Cemetery number 1, Bates Middlesex, Bates Cemetery number 2, Stevens Cemetery, Waterbury Cemetery number 3, and then 12 others in town. Some are town,
Can you just tell me
Bill,
what you
are
said
you
New
gonna tell
Red
me you
River
know these
needs?
cemeteries, all of them?
No, I was gonna ask,
I missed
what is the
one.
name of the group that has this money to take care of them?
Monuments and Ceremonies takes care of it, but I think their budget is only around $5,000.
Are they the one that the state of Connecticut says you have to have to take care of these places?
I'm not sure, they're a
In other words,
commission.
I believe there's some type of Connecticut rule or where the town has to appoint a group to authorize to take care of cemeteries. You just can't go in and take care of a...
Well, yeah, this is the group
Okay.
that does take care of
Yeah,
them.
they do get some grants,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, but, yeah. They don't have enough money. You know, it's
And they don't
broken
have all the
headstones. They're really expensive to fix. And,
And there's a lot of weeding and mowing and, you know,
Yeah,
the rest of
and
it.
some of
A lot
some
them
of the
are very
cemeteries are really
small.
almost inaccessible. You gotta go through somebody's property. It's, so it's a challenge. It's
Yeah.
a challenge. They do a good job.
They do. I think I have a few other things to say here. They're working basically on the Memorial Day Parade and Declaration Day ceremony. And the Grand Marshal and the speaker to be for the Memorial Day Parade will be announced shortly. They discussed that yesterday. The Wreaths Across America was the other thing somebody asked about. And that is December 14th. And those wreaths come from Maine to Arlington Cemetery. The Monuments and Ceremonies basically cannot collect money. So they do not collect money for this. And there was a shortage of wreaths for the cemetery for every grave, which we'd like to see happen. But you can contribute online. You go to Wreaths Across America, and there's a site there where you can push a button and tell them where you'd like your wreath to go.
Mhm.
And I looked that up today, and there's $17 for a wreath. So if anybody
Have we ever
would
put
like
that
to
out there in, like,
contribute.
any of the newsletters? You know
Yeah,
what I
social
mean? Like,
media.
have they?
There's a lot of social media about
Okay.
it. I don't remember where it's from, if it's from Town Hall or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Diane, is this, are you talking about the wreaths that are put at Spring Grove?
Yes.
On it's state property though, right?
Well, it goes to the veterans' graves there,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, okay.
You know, Spring Grove is a private cemetery. That
Yes.
is not under
But it-
monuments and ceremonies,
Yeah, okay.
okay?
So when you say they can't collect money, so
They're not allowed to.
they don't want them like taking in the physical cash, but we can do it online, right?
Yeah,
Which is how I do
they
it.
are not allowed to do that, yes.
They can't.
But are they
You can do it
facilitating the online
and
website?
designate your wreath to go to Darien.
Wreath Across America is the website that you go to.
Right.
And
Oh,
just
but
ceremonies,
not monuments
not
and ceremonies.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a- it's a
yeah. But they're working
national-
hand in hand.
And then
Yes.
you go down and you
I
can
get
do
it
it
from
to
Recent
Spring Grove.
Ceremonies. That's
Yeah,
where I
yeah,
do it,
yeah.
too. Recent, okay, got it.
And you tell them where you want your wreath to go. And they travel down from Maine
Mhm.
all the way to Arlington and bring wreaths down with them.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not putting any of it.
It was started by
Yeah, I
a
guess
couple
it was
up
just
in
like,
Maine.
nice that there
Nice.
was a shortage. I feel like that catch, you know, people
Okay.
go,
Yeah.
you know, like.
So
They're
does
a great
anybody,
group and they work very hard. I mean, they have, when I think of it, they have a lot to do with these parades and organizing them and all of these other things. So they're working very hard.
Adele, the Coastal Advisory is meeting next Monday, and they did not meet in March.
okay,
I can do Great Island for the first time.
all right.
I might not be as good as these two when I get there. I'm gonna try, I'm really gonna try. And I did not bring my readers, so I can barely see, but that's okay. How bad are yours?
You tell me.
Well, that helps, thank you. Okay. I'm getting used to bringing my readers everywhere. Okay, so,
It's an illusion.
sorry, this is a repeat for anyone that actually did watch it. This was on March 20th. This was my first one that I actually watched in total. It was a really interesting meeting. So the first thing, I'm just going to go in order of what they talked about. Luna, the owl, was released. think they also posted a picture of it. It was really cute. It was on 324, I think they did a video of it or some pictures. Okay, and then, so that was the big thing. Tony Campanella, I think I'm saying that right, placed 15 sawhorses. So that's to kind of like let people know, don't come here, you know, to basically say like don't cross over. Okay, so that was just to kind of give people some visuals of where to try to stay. Why did I write Repo cameras to see, oh, they're thinking about repositioning some of the cameras, the security cameras, to try to help because people are not staying in the borders. Shocker, I know. So they're going to try to work on that. The barricades, also potentially adding some more to keep people on the path. That is like a huge thing that they're really focused on. I get where the waterfront lawn near the main house is a hot spot. Again, it's beautiful, totally get it, but they don't want people going there. Okay, see, the asbestos contract bid was put out, or was it accepted? And it was accepted, I think, and they're hoping the work starts in April. It seems like the number 18, the Pink House, I don't know the property well enough, I guess has asbestos, and then basement and stables, and they're only thinking it's going to be about 2 days work, week in total, so
Wait,
that may have
will you slow
already
down?
happened.
So the number 18, which is the Pink House,
Pink
plus
House.
the stables?
Basement and stables.
Basement and stables,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
So, okay, and they were hoping to work this month, had to get the work done this month.
Got it. Thank you.
Landscape bids, March 21st, so I think what they were saying is because obviously there's a whole bunch more landscaping, our guys can't do it, so they're gonna have to try to get landscapers to maintain the property, right?
In addition to
addition.
to the existing guys that
yeah.
would do it. Okay.
Work continues at the Dolphin House. There was a water leak, I guess, in late February, so they're working on that. Okay, the welcome signs are up. I'm assuming most of you guys have gone at this point to see everything. Sounds like it's been a huge success. Lots of people in town are going and checking it out. The QR codes, which I love, they did the QR codes. They said they could see how often they're being used. I'm so not tech savvy, I didn't realize they could do that. And they said they are being used, and they said how many hits they're getting on them. And then a bike rack. I know someone had suggested that before the opening, which I thought was really great at the commission, I think, or maybe had suggested. So they did add bike racks for people who want to ride down there versus walk. And I think they want to try to add a second one because it's being used a lot.
Because they're still saying only pedestrian, walking,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
No,
yep.
no bikes.
No bikes, no dogs, no bikes,
Yeah.
no scooters.
I've never seen a bike on a bike rack, but maybe it just depends on the
Yeah,
time.
maybe depends on the time,
Yeah.
Okay, 16 firms have submitted for master plans, RFQ picked, six were picked,
16 firms
submitted,
submitted their qualifications,
Yes.
the FRQs.
and 6 were picked for the RFP. Did I say that right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
You got it.
Okay, thank you. Submitted proposed for the Great Island Master Plan. Okay. Okay, so the bids were submitted. So then I didn't get the gentleman's name, but they talked about the 4 phases that so it's the vision plan, the master plan, construction design documents, and construction support plan. Something like that, I think, yeah. And they went through more detail on those. And then they said there's going to be 6 milestone phases, so they can pause at any time, which I thought was really great. So it's not like we're just going to bang it all out and try to get it, but okay, we're going to do this part, then we can pause and then do. It doesn't all have to be done in 1 second. Early access update. Okay, so I think this was when Monica talked. Lots of positive feedback concerning issues. So she talked about this. Biking. Dogs not staying on the path, people not staying on the path. So, and she basically was talking about how this is trespassing when people do that. And I think one of the things that is also apparently happening, people are not entering just in the main, the one way you're supposed to. They're going past, what's that road?
Long neck.
On Pear Tree, or Long Neck,
Long
yeah.
Neck, yeah,
Going
which
into the barn.
someone said, and someone said, oh, well, we need more signage. Apparently the signage is clear as day. Like, you have to be blind and deaf, maybe not to be able to know the sign is there. I don't know, I haven't seen it, but people are they're just ignoring it. They're doing what they want to do. So they're working on trying to figure that out, get the word out, to town about not doing that it is trespassing. And I think they were going to try to talk to the police about monitoring it just a little bit more, and talking to people. Oh, and then I think they also talked about, that's right, hats for the Great Island Advisory people to wear, so that when they're walking the grounds, people know who they are and that you can go up to them and say, ask your questions or whatever, or if they see someone doing something they shouldn't be doing, they can then kind of have a little bit more authority, maybe, and be like, oh, no dogs, or no,
Jimmy.
I just think John. Yeah.
Funny, sure.
The horses are gone, and the last part that they ended up discussing, which is funny because one of my girlfriends who has her dog and who she adores, she texted me, she's like, why aren't dogs allowed? And I was like, I don't know, but I'll look into it. I have no idea, and they happened to talk about it, and one of the things, I guess that obviously this was discussed in detail when they made the original rules, was that there's no trash cans because there's no one picking up trash there, and so where are people going to put their dog bags, which we already know people don't do when there are trash cans. So,
they leave it on
or they leave it on the side, so I know, I go to Highlands, people don't, yeah, so anyway, so that was, and then someone thought, should we, discuss it again, and she said, no, we'll discuss it as we come up with our plans for the park.
When did they start to widen the road, like right after Memorial Day?
Actually, I was paying attention to the Board of Selectmen's meeting this week, and Monica announced that they did not get any bids.
For the work?
Yeah, they didn't talk about.
For the construction bid for the widening the road. So,
Well,
I think that will affect it, none.
Yes.
So, they're gonna have to obviously rebid
Bizarre.
and,
You mean,
try to figure out why they didn't get any bids. So they're working on it, but that has gotta affect the timeline.
Right. Well, then we can continue to walk
You
all
can
through the
get to
week.
walk. That's right.
That's the
Continue to
upside.
walk.
Sarah, you did excellent.
Yes, well done.
Sorry, they would talk so fast, I'm not a fast writer, so I was like, I had to keep pausing it when they were talking. I was back in school.
Way to go.
I did watch yesterday before the Board of Selectmen came on the TV, they had a tour with John Skratsky.
yes.
Yes, so that was and they said the dogs was also because there's so much wildlife out there.
And the wildlife, sorry, they
Yeah.
said the wildlife, the trash, and just.
But it was informative to know, he went through everything. The only thing I say was bad, he was standing where you shouldn't be. I thought he shouldn't be where you shouldn't be. Maybe that's not helping.
As I say,
Yes, right. He's out on the lawn.
That's just funny.
Make a note, I was there on Saturday and walked the whole property, and it was a beautiful day, warm day, Saturday. 2 bikes, 3 dogs.
Oh,
Winter.
See?
Yeah.
I left my dog at home.
Yeah.
3 dogs. And I love dogs, obviously. I'm a dog person, so, I'd love to bring my dog there, but I was shocked. And one of them was, I actually said something to one person who came in, they'd never been there before, standing in front of the sign that says no dogs. Oh, I didn't know. That's what the sign is for. I mean, and I'm the first person that, want to give the dogs a break, but, obviously if there's a reason, there's good reason, so maybe they do need to improve the signage a little, just put more of it up, I don't know. The bikes was a killer though, I thought that was hysterical, because the bike rack was empty, and there was people riding through,
Yeah,
making it their part of their exercise.
Someone's gonna get hit.
They just don't care.
Yeah,
They
they
don't
don't
care.
Someone's gonna go one way and they have an accident.
Yeah, there was,
There are true repercussions, people are going to continue
Yeah.
to do it. There was discussion at one point in one of the RTM meetings about, fines, but they hadn't quite pursued.
See, there's no police presence.
I know that there was,
They say they're gonna have it, but
Every time I've walked there, the police have driven through.
Oh.
So I think the police
Oh,
are
really?
driving through quite a bit during the day.
I see them.
I think it
When
just
I saw them.
depends.
Okay.
Honestly, I think if a police car just sits at the entrance, that would do it.
Yeah.
Like,
And then the one other thing I'll say is I know that there's kind of a little discussion around, you know, so far it hasn't, like it's gonna get warmer, and now that we know that they're not gonna get it done, the amount of people that'll be parking down, Cheryl had talked about this before, parking down at Pear Tree Point, it's more the concern about the amount of people walking, and there's those 3 blind curves on Pear Tree Point. And so possible discussion around, people are talking about maybe just during the summer, making Pear Tree Point one way that way. So Wee Beach, I mean, whatever, Long Neck Point, right? So you go out this way and that could at least, because there's a lot of people out
As long as
there.
people who live there
It's
don't
just
park
that,
there, they
well,
have to
no,
do
I have a
that.
friend that lives
Yes,
right across from
Yeah.
that, and I know that she had reached out to John, and
Okay.
she was like, I don't care, my
Yeah.
thing isn't about the people parking there, I see how many people do go flying down the street. It's bikers, it's walkers, it's joggers, and so.
They also put the
little
rocks
kids.
on the turnaround, they blocked it off.
I know.
And there were 3 cars parked.
You could have parked 3 or 4 cars there.
No, there were 3
Oh, there
cars
were?
parked on the road because they blocked it
Because
off.
they could have done
3
that,
cars.
yeah.
I'm like,
Where is it?
What you,
right, there's a turnaround right,
yeah, I mean, maybe we could make those
right at the
like handicap
crossroads of the
only
3 roads.
parking
I think,
spots.
well, I know they're
Just like a
dirt,
little
Where, around Long?
so I don't know if they would be handicap, quote, quote.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
if you
But I mean,
put
people
something-
did use those all the time, and so if we blocked it off, I don't have a problem with the bike racks there, but I'm like, get rid of the rocks,
Oh.
because at least you could
By the
have,
bridge.
But they moved
Right,
it
that's-
so you
That's
couldn't-
important.
and not have to walk far.
It's
Well,
under
that's
the
what I'm
parking.
Right, because they will.
Right, there's a solution.
Well,
There's a
they
solution.
that-
moved the giant boulders in front so nobody could pull in.
Well,
So
guys,
people pulled over on the street next to it.
anybody, any more
Well, I guess
questions?
also though,
Anybody have
as well, the
any
parking lot
other,
is super full that people can't go to the-
yeah, any other reports, guys?
So Adele, what would we cover in the May meeting if we've already voted on the budget?
I don't know, I mean, it would be, if we have, or assign something by rules, that would be the reason to have a meeting, otherwise I think we can cancel the May meeting. But hang on a second, because I got a little bit of a beautification report from Penny. She planned on calling in, but then she couldn't. And so, let's see what she says here. You know, they've been working hard to, they originally in their budget, they had the flags for downtown to go up on the stanchions, and it was cut by the town administrator. Well, the Board of Finance put it back in last night, and it went through. So I let Penny know.
And
They
what
put back
was,
in.
what
Oh,
is
okay.
so interesting is that yesterday, the Monuments and Ceremonies voted to give them some money if they could be involved in the process of picking them out and whatever.
What, where are they gonna go to for it?
Obviously-
And I think they'll be happy, the Board of Finance will be they'd be happy not to spend the money, but,
So Diane, I don't know how you get this word back to them,
yeah,
but
get back to them.
Ed Gentile is key in this, because when I was working on the bicentennial, the, his department was the one that.
They put up the hanging baskets.
Yes, but so the flags have to coordinate with the hanging
Right.
baskets, and when we were doing the it has to be a certain kind of fixture, and then the flags.
And the Monuments and Ceremonies did discuss this, but I heard from Adele afterwards that they had, the Board of Selectmen,
Board of Finance.
or Board of Finance, had put it back in the budget, so perhaps Monuments and Ceremonies doesn't need to give them that money and could use that for the cemeteries, whatever.
Yeah.
But
they should
also,
keep it.
you know, they were
Should keep it
concerned about
private.
size and of course wanting to have it made in America, these flags, very important.
So, yeah, I think they all need to talk to each other.
Yes.
It's really difficult. There's nobody talks to each other, and not all of them know about what their details on their budget or what things.
Well,
Who's the chair?
because
Who's
it
the
happened last night.
Who's the chair of
You know, and they,
Who's the chair of
this meeting was at 3:30 yesterday
Absolutely.
afternoon, so.
I actually have it at home. I'm happy to call the chair of beautification and tell her to work with Ed. Well, maybe send and emailed to both of them.
The only problem with it being in the budget, which I always thought was, is that obviously they won't have the funds until the 1st of July.
Oh.
So, but I can figure that out. You know, yeah, do what they can. You can only do what you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was the
Does anybody know what that amount is for the flags?
$5,000.
But then we use the flags every year though,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
So
you
then
know,
we-
there's a gift. Susan remembered when someone,
So originally, a few individuals in town donated it, and then when we did the bicentennial flags, those same people donated some bicentennial flags.
Okay.
I did that.
and then last year, when it was time to take the flags down, they were in such disrepair that Public Works threw it all away.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's like.
So on the
flags.
poles-
Instead of just, they threw the holders and everything.
Oh, the
so just
holders,
the
I was just gonna say, did all the holders just stay there?
No, so anyway, that's
Oh,
that.
that's
So it's a matter of get the holders, the poles, and the flags.
Okay.
So, but, and,
Do we, so that's an additional cost above the 5K?
no, I think that
That's
includes
all
it all.
inclusive.
Yeah, and then it was, the Public Works puts it up, you know, kind of thing. But,
At the same time as the flowers.
if they put up the
Yeah.
flowers.
I would think
yeah.
we could-
What's the beautification? Just
So who's
Yeah,
the
that
chairman
I-
of beautification now?
don't ask me that. I'm not
I
sure.
have,
Anybody know?
It's gotta be on the
I do have it at
website.
home.
Easy.
It's on the website.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and I think that was the most important thing, if I can get my phone doesn't recognize me anymore. And they're working, you know, they're,
Sarah Schwartz is the chairman. Sarah Schwartz. I don't know.
Sarah?
Sure.
well, I think she
Sarah,
has.
oh, it is Sarah.
It is
Sarah
Sarah,
Schwartz.
it is Sarah. And
Schwartz.
she seems very good, having listened to a bunch of their meetings.
Okay.
Before Penny was,
Thank you.
but Penny seems to have clicked in with them too, so, which is good. So she will be following them. And they're working hard on the Adopt a Garden. You know, but it's
Around
difficult.
town.
It's
Oh,
like
yeah, they're
working on
bringing
it.
that,
They're working on it.
yeah,
Trying to,
my sponsors, they got done that.
well,
and they
anyway,
put
we'll-
them
when
up.
they do it, we'll find out more about it. Okay, so is there anything else, or I think that's it for that. I just have a brief chairman's report, not much. First thing I thought we should talk about though is, do we want to continue to meet in person or do we want to go back to Zoom? The rest of our meetings for this year are all scheduled to be in person in this room. And so we don't have to make a decision right now, but all of a sudden there were people calling in and they're missing people. And maybe the missing people wouldn't have been on Zoom either, but it's a thought if it would help people. So why don't you, unless you want to talk about it right now, why don't you think about it and email me if you have an opinion? Anybody want to say anything, or, I don't know, it just occurred to me when all of a sudden we had people, and we almost had 3 people on cell phones.
I think it's kind of nice in the winter to do the Zoom so
Sure.
people don't have, we don't have to worry about if it's snowing or this or that. I also think it's nice to see some faces once in a while, particularly to get names straight with newer members who aren't here actually.
And for the budget, it's helpful to be in person. in the
Well, I think for the
did that.
budget, I thought it was important
Yeah,
that we would
And-
be in
yeah.
person.
And then we don't meet in the summer anyway, usually.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So it'll be,
You know.
it's
And we may not have a
it's
meeting
May,
in
June.
May.
It's May, June, we're not gonna have a May. So it's June.
Making those sounds.
It's June and September and October. So, and maybe November, so.
Yeah, I like the
Anyway.
idea of a mix. I like seeing everybody in person because I feel like
Mhm.
sometimes you get a little more out of it. But then for me personally, just as a selfish reason, it's just hard because I have to get a sitter when I come because my husband usually isn't home. So there's just that. But it would be like I would do it if I didn't have to do it every single time. It makes it a little bit easier. Or I can try to see if he can be home, but every single one, sometimes it's a little tricky.
Are we able to do hybrid where people can be on the
We
screen?
don't have I don't have a hybrid
That's something
capability
we need to
right
work
now.
on.
I think it's, maybe I could get Mike, or maybe Mary can help us figure out hybrid, huh?
And we were able to do this in this case.
Yeah, this
like,
work, this
I was at the
this actually works.
Right, I talked to Adele this morning because I was at the airport at like 5:30 and my 7:30 flight didn't take out till 12:30. So I was like, hopefully we'll get here, but if not, is there ability for me to call in? And she said, we already have like 2 people calling in, so yes, but in a perfect world. For me personally, I like the combination, what a bunch of you guys said was some in person, maybe not so much in the winter, or a balance for you all. But I guess I would say May, I feel like is important if we can, for May, this one. When I say May, the one we're voting on the budget together so we can talk about it. I also think it's important right after we've been elected, because there's always new people in there. So kind of November, December, so maybe spring through. We don't have summer.
Well, that's what we have now.
No
We're in
summer,
person
fall.
for the rest of the time. But it's not official yet, but unless we get assigned something from rules, we will cancel May.
And there is no April RTM meeting.
Correct, that was
Right.
canceled. We canceled it at Rules on Monday.
Yep. Okay. So we got one vote for a few more Zoom.
Yeah, just a mix.
I like the
I'm
mix
fine with
too. I
mix.
mean, I'm
Yeah.
totally, I like seeing faces, but it's super easy to do from home too. So.
Okay. You agree?
Yeah, I like the mix.
Okay, maybe we'll see if we can change a couple of the ones that are coming up. Let's see. Here's where my transfer of ARPA, $11,000 for Baker Swings installation, was added to the $150,000 for Baker Playground project. So it's now $161,000. Weed Beach Meadow and Trail, I think everybody saw the email, but it was tabled by the Board of Selectmen on Monday night and basically returned to Park and Rec Commission. And they were instructed to prioritize and think about phasing and see if they could get parts of it done. And also they were asked to work on some interim screening for the neighbors. So landscaping, I do believe.
Did they say where? Is it back against Norotan Bay?
I just would assume, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Where they took out a lot of stuff, a lot of the undergrowth and everything. They discussed at the commission meeting, they discussed the commemorative bench program and its process. They received a request from a group for Adirondack chairs that were multicolored, and the rules, their rules, limit colors and usually dedications are to a person, but they didn't come to any conclusion, so they will talk about it again. They also discussed the temporary lines on the pickleball court at Cherry Lawn again. And the same thing, they will talk about it again. Cherry Lawn brick walkway has sold enough bricks to pay for the construction, with leftover funds to be put in a special fund that will be used in the for the future on the playgrounds. So there's extra money. I think maybe 30,000 in that ballpark. Extra?
They were still selling, the deadline was April 1st, but then they extended it to the 8th.
Yeah.
And Susan Daly had said a while ago that they had hit the number, but that hopefully if they make extra money, maybe we can get the tire swing that everyone really wanted.
Yeah, or
So
something else.
that's-
Exactly.
that
So
would be,
if enough, so
Right.
keep giving, I think is the,
yeah.
is the
I think we're done. I think they closed it off on the 8th, on
On
Monday.
the 8th, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, no,
Yeah,
so that was
yeah.
good. And it will allow it, it
To
just
be
will bring it
maintained.
up to that. It's a continuation of what was already done there with the bricks and the families that
Yeah,
donated
yeah.
years ago. And so now it's nice that a lot of new families got to do it.
I think people were pretty enthusiastic. The kayak lottery was completed, and they had 382 entries, which is down from 428 last year, but it's only 60 spots at Pear Tree and 90 at Weed. So by now, I mean, I think that if people had to pay by March 21st, and then they would go to the wait list if somebody didn't pay. So I don't think they didn't anticipate any issues with that. We already talked about the staff's painted the interior of the bathrooms at Pear Tree. Spring registration through March 13th was up 16% compared to last year. Good news. Tennis led the way with 405 youth and 282 adults. For tennis, sorry.
Cheryl, we're all gonna remember this.
What?
You're making funny noises over there, Cheryl.
I was coughing.
Okay.
We heard you.
Okay, I can relate to that
I
for sure.
haven't moved in an hour.
The construction continues on the paddle court as of March 20th, so I mean,
It looks good, it's a lot, they're
it's
much
not
further
done, but
along.
they're still,
Yeah.
they're just steadily moving
Yeah, it's
along.
really, yeah,
Yeah.
they've done a lot of work on it.
And the basketball court repairs, I think I said that will probably be in the fall. They haven't bid it yet. They were getting quotes for the Baker fence. I think I heard they had several, so hopefully, they had said they would hope they would complete it in April. And I think the next Park and Rec Commission meeting will get updates on all this. I think they'll be moving right along. There's a movie date on April 19th at Highland Farms, 7:30, and there's May 19th Adventure Day at Selleck's Woods. So, and I had somebody ask me this week about the water, if the water fountain was broken at Cherry Lawn. And I said, well, you know, probably they might not have turned them on
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah,
And he said, well, people were really thirsty last weekend, you know, in the playground. And so anyway, I asked Jim Coughlin, and he said they're in the process now of turning the water on everywhere. So by the end of this week, probably the water fountains will be on. So, and that's my report, ladies and gentlemen.
That was water bottles in the first time.
I know, isn't that something that cute?
I'm like, with the kids, I don't think that we leave the house without water bottles. It's
It's true, isn't it? People are actually really good about that now.
No one leaves the house without a water bottle.
Yeah, my grandson always has his water bottle, but he much prefers his mother's water bottle. There you go. That's a 7-year-old for you. Okay, guys, does anybody have any other business?
Nope.
In that case, I give a motion to adjourn. Ladies on the cell, anything else?
No, thank you very much.
Okey-doke. All right, Alyssa moved.
Bill, I can second.
Oh, Bill seconded. All in favor? Bye, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.